last days of President Muhammadu Buhari in office, he's enjoyed a two-term, been elected by the Nigerian people. He's made several promises, but how far has he kept to those promises? Tonight, I have joining me Mr. Garba Shehu, who is President Buhari's Senior Special Assistant on Media. He joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, and it's good to see you. How does it feel? Final days in office. You've been there in the office. You are not a newcomer or a stranger to the villa. Having worked with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, you've worked with President Buhari. You should be automatically being given a free plot of land in the villa because you are probably going to be, apart from the civil servant, going to be one of those who have really known the nook and crannies of the villa. But how does it feel that you are exiting with your principal out of office after 8 years?
Well, it feels great, and we thank the President, we thank the Almighty for making it possible. It's just like yesterday we started, and I've said it elsewhere. I think that we have the President to thank. You look back at all of those who were in the villa before us, who served in the media office. Mostly, you do 2 years, maximally 3 years. You either are replaced or you quit on your own, or in 1 or 2 cases, some of them even died in office. So, but for us to do all of 8 years together with the President, yes, it's monumental. We really think that the President had done a big favor to us, giving us the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, I mean, one should thank God for life, especially under a president that has really gone through a lot of health challenges in his office. He came in so healthy, but his health became very challenged at some point. But here he is. He's going to by himself be handing over to yet another president. But it's interesting, Mr. Shehu, I don't know how you're going to be able to explain to Nigerians that in the closing days of President Buhari, there have been reports of numerous last-minute approvers and, in fact, appointments. And, in fact, the question will be, why those last-minute appointments? On what basis? On what moral standing would the president be giving those last-minute appointments?
Well, these appointments and the contracts you have mentioned, they follow due processes. And they take time, to mature, to come to a head. Look, given the complexities of procurement in the country, it takes an average of 9 months to start a procurement process for maybe a building or a road, or 9 months from start to finish on the average. So if you look at all of the contracts that have been approved lately, virtually none of them is laying a claim to 2023 budget. They are drawing from 2022 budget about to expire. In fact, some of them go back to the supplementary budget and the 2021 budget. So this is money that would have been spent anyway. However, because of the complexities and the intricacies involved in the procurement process, they are maturing just about the time when the term of the president is coming to an end. And so therefore, nothing is done to take away from what the next president will be doing or to deny them money that they ought to be spending. They will have the budget for the year to operate, and there will not be any difficulties that they will face as far as this is concerned. As for appointments, I don't think there is anything that is being rushed, because as again, it takes a due process, to build up, screen people, and go for clearance with the security agencies and all of that before they come. So these things are maturing with time. That's the second thing. And another thing is that
you seem to have muted somehow. Could you unmute?
Hello?
Okay, now we can hear you again. Please go ahead. You're talking about the appointments.
Yes, I said that the appointments are coming around, having gone through a lot of processes. Look at, for instance, the accountant general of the federation just appointed. You know that we didn't have an accountant general for nearly a year now because the former occupant of the office is in court. And to replace him, there has been virtually all the directors of finance in government ministries had shown interest in the job, and the head of service of the federation had to set up a number of examinations and interviews and all of that before finally the lady who emerged came at the top. So it takes time, and the fact that the process is complete does not mean that the president should raise his hands up and say, no, I won't do it.
Well, because I mean, yeah, Mr. Shehu, what one we wonder is that if Muhammad Buhari is a friend to Bola Tinubu and they are of the same political party, and these appointments are coming at the last minute, because of the optics of it, some Nigerians might be seeing it as desperation, and some might also even be drawing some ulterior motive into it. I mean, shouldn't the president have just passed some of these last-minute appointments to the incoming government? Because the question will be, don't you think there are possibility of some of these appointments being upturned?
If they are upturned, it is perfectly in the power of the president, incoming president, to do so. But again, there is nothing that you will do, you don't face criticism. I'm sure you have read also criticism of the president that he had run away from the census, he had handed it over to the incoming president, and that the fuel subsidy withdrawal, that he has pushed it to the next president. So whichever way, whatever you do, there's no way you can win with public.
No, but Mr. Shehu, I mean, this has a background, though. Is a president that has been heavily criticized for being shy of making an appointment. All of a sudden, less than 30 days before leaving office, he's made enormous numbers of appointments. So, I mean, there are people who will raise eyebrows. Why are these appointments raining and coming in their numbers just few days before the end of his tenure?
No. Shehu, these appointments you're talking about, you can count them on your fingertips. Look, the president of Nigeria, as to political appointments, has thousands of them. Certainly nothing less than between 2,000 to 3,000 appointments to make. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you have done, you don't take away from the powers of the president. And in any case, as you have said yourself, it is up to the incoming president to decide whether those appointments will stand or not. He has the latitude of authority, clearly spelled out that under the Constitution, to change them. And so therefore, nothing is lost. However, as I said, we are blessed in the fact that we are being succeeded by an APC administration. People, if this was the opposition that was coming, they would simply have been complaining. But it's the same political party. So it's the same, more or less, government, different administrations.
So the appointments are not sacrosanct. It's something that the new administration can upturn, isn't it?
Absolutely. They following due processes, they can.
Let me ask you, are there being, clarify for us, presidential jet? Are there plans to buy a presidential jet? Confirm to us.
No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware that there's a plan to buy a jet.
So you're not aware of the activities of the Minister of Aviation in this respect?
No, I'm not aware. I've not been briefed about that.
Are you aware about a possible auction of a Hawker aircraft in the presidential fleet?
As a matter of fact, a process had been put in place, I believe, 2-3 years back, to auction at least 2 of the presidential aircraft. Some had been surrendered to the Air Force, and they were put in the market. And I'm sure you have followed that offers were made, and the government said bring money, and some smart guys tried to play games with the thing. Instead of paying for what they had offered, they reneged, and they were now counting backwards. And so the government wasn't going to throw away this thing because the value is known and established. So therefore, the sale did not succeed as at that time. If there is a renewed effort to sell at this time, nothing breaches what has been put in place already.
Let me get your view as we dive into some nitty-gritty. How does the president rate himself? First and foremost, he has to have a view on what he has done. How does he rate himself, his performance in these last 8 years?
Well, the president feels he fulfilled. He has done exceptionally well, as best as he can in the circumstances in which he has found himself. And he's satisfied going home, and for the next president to continue to build on the foundations that he has laid.
So let's take it one after the other. If the president feels fulfilled, why then is he talking about forgiveness to those he feels offended?
You can't walk on eggs without breaking them. It's absolutely not possible. So apology by President Muhammadu Buhari was not did not indicate the acceptance of wrongdoing on his part. There are people in the course of doing this job, there are people who you would offend inadvertently. Certainly the president is not a malicious person as to go out deliberately to hurt people. But looking all of the things, the enormous powers of the office of the president of Nigeria, the president has responsibility for every executive action of the government. So if you have been wronged by whether a tax collector or investigator, police, EFCC, and you feel that way, the president is saying, I take responsibility and I apologize to you. I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that.
I mean, we look at security specifically. Those who feel this is one area that the president thought that it was his strong area and that he could handle effectively. But those who judge him as one slow in pace, sometimes non-empathetic enough to have shown concern when there are events or incidents that have happened in the country, and those who have judged him as ineffective in his style of operation to have dealt with some of these incidents in the country. Does it feel the pains of some Nigerians who are expressing their views in this regard?
Well, opinions would obviously be different, and people are entitled to hold their own. It's a matter of time. People will come to the full realization of how much the president has done. When he came in 2015, the urgent national task was to arrest the rapid deterioration of security and the spread of Boko Haram terrorism. And you could recall very well, in Abuja here, the United Nations was bombed, the headquarters of the police. So what else? They had proved their point, and they were determined to. They were already in Lokoja and Okene, and headed for Lagos. So the fact that President Buhari has been able to roll this back, as we speak today, the preoccupation of the government of Nigeria is how do you rebuild damaged infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools, markets, places of worship, all of them destroyed by Boko Haram. Now the thing, people are resuming agriculture. They're growing their own food. They were being fed in IDP camps. Now the effort is, the government is rebuilding with active collaboration of the Borno state government, rebuilding communities that were destroyed and people being taken back and getting on with their normal lives. So security is not what it was in 2015, Whether people will give credit to President Muhammadu Buhari now or later, we will wait to see. But certainly, in fact, the Boko Haram terrorism disastrously, in fact, excessively showed how damaged the country's military institution and security agencies had been. And the fact that the president is able to rebuild these institutions and re-equip them. An air force that flew only 4 aircraft today has 38 of them and 24 fighter, helicopters coming. So many acquisitions are going on, more than 100 platforms for the Nigerian Navy, making the shoreline the safest in 27 years. And the records are there. The army has made so many acquisitions, drone technology, why in it all. So much has changed, and that President Muhammadu Buhari will be appreciated, if not now, much later.
I mean, looking at how much there have been spent on fighting insecurity in Nigeria, one major promise that the president has made to Nigerians, and budgets now going into, it was initially in the region of billions, now is in the region of trillion naira, and northwest of the country still remain a hotbed. In April of this year alone, Mr. Garba Shehu, there is a security outfit that has put the figure of injured people in Nigeria to about 241, with over 380 incidents that have happened in the country and over 300 people that have been kidnapped in this country. This is a country that spent trillions of naira on fighting insecurity, and where the president is saying, as a former general who has a capability to arrest insecurity in Nigeria, and yet people are still facing these kind of security challenges. Some of the highways in Nigeria are impossible, not because the roads are bad, well, that may be on one hand, but because you cannot just drive on those roads because of the issue of insecurity. In fact, we have had generals that have been killed on the Kaduna highway.
Well, if you are looking at statistics, you can make the choices your choices as to which ones to believe. If you look at the global terrorism index, what they are saying is that in the year 2022, killings by terrorists had declined by 92% in Nigeria. This is a major achievement. The question is, has President Muhammadu Buhari eliminated crime? No, he has not eliminated crime in Nigeria. And show me one world leader in the space of 4, 8 years, or even 30 or 50 years, who has reduced crime to zero level in their own country. So I'm not making excuses. There are still incidents here and there. In the Northwest in particular, you call it a hotbed. A few areas, yes, are worrisome. But a lot of it has been cleaned up. And the thing to judge the president, on these matters is, what is the response of the administration when incidents such as this happen? It's not complacency or a caring attitude. No, the armed forces of this country have been equipped, have been fully mobilized, and training is ongoing. 2 months ago, he just acquired 700 trucks for the movement of troops. 700 trucks. So therefore, they are fully mobile. Incidents do happen, and in a number of these instances, the response is immediate, and in a number of cases, arrests are made and bandits are eliminated.
Mr. Shehu,
where they are
this is going to be my final question on security, so that I can move on 1 or 2 issues before I will wrap up. And I'm not making reference to what the president didn't say he would do. What he did not promise. We're talking about the things he specifically, and we're starting with security, which is like his major, his core. where a lot of people believe that there was a huge insecurity in the land when he was getting into office, and they believed him. That as a former general, in fact, Bola Tinubu had said, made examples of generals in several parts of the world who, at the time that the people needed them, they came and rescued the people. And he made reference that Buhari is the general that Nigeria needed in 2015. And a lot of people believed your party, the APC. The question I'd like you to answer, Mr. Shehu, tonight is, in all of these promises and in all of this undertaking, in all the monies that have been spent, give us one aspect of insecurity that you would say or beat your chest as a government that the president has resolved with a tone of finality.
Boko Haram terrorism was an existential threat. Boko Haram today is an occasional threat. It's been quashed. They had carved out a territory of their own and made it an independent state of their own with their system of administration, laws, and taxation. Go and check the map. That territory, the Boko Haram Caliphate, the headquarters, has disappeared from the Nigerian map. So, look, let's not make pretenses about it. Criticism will come because it goes with the territory. But the President Muhammad Buhari, when he was coming in 2015, the biggest threat this country had faced was Boko Haram terrorism, and he has rolled it back.
There are those who would disagree with you, Mr. Shehu. That, I mean, a few days ago, a few weeks ago, Boko Haram is still abducting and killing people in Yobe State and in some part of the northeast region of the country. Well, I mean, let's look at, for example, an area like the economy. And we will look at what has been done and perhaps what is going to be left undone, or what, how the government of Buhari will be leaving the country. Would you say the government is leaving more trouble for the incoming government?
Absolutely no. We're not leaving more trouble. We have created more comfort for the incoming administration than anybody would have ever thought. This country's economy stood on one leg, monocultural economy. It was oil or nothing. Today, even ICT is the new oil in the country. Who did it? It's Buhari. He's the champion for ICT. Who did agriculture in the country? Agriculture fetches more money for the country today than oil. So economy has been diversified. It's a broad-based economy and will continue to sustain the legacy, yes, that we inherited of Nigeria being the continent's biggest, the largest economy.
I came across one of the statements you released about Nigeria's inflation, and I thought that maybe there were some errors in that statement. Can you confirm to us what you said in that statement in respect of what the Buhari government did to the economy, in respect of the inflation and how he's going to be living it?
I don't know what specifically what you are talking about, but yes, what I did say recently is that inflation is coming with the cost of living crisis globally. Look, today as we speak, even the election that is taking place in Greece globally is determined as a cost of living election. So everybody is faced with this difficulty, and the numbers are there. 11% in the UK, the highest in 41 years, Ghana 40-something%, Turkey 45%, Pakistan somewhere around that number. So everybody is in this. So at 22 is not ideal. We don't like it, but we're not as bad as the others are.
So, Mr. Shehu, you have been quoted in that statement as saying that the rate of inflation in Nigeria, Buhari is not responsible for it. So who is?
I said we have a global phenomenon. When you situate what is happening in Nigeria in the context of global crisis, first of all, generated by the COVID-19 and all of the global lockdown and the supply chain disruptions. And that had killed in many places manufacturing, production of fewer goods, and meaning then that the cost higher. And then soon thereafter, just when everybody was coming out of all of that, then the Ukraine-Russia war is ongoing as we speak today, and it is disruptive. So look at the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari has done in the context of these challenges that are being faced by all of the nations around the globe.
Mr. Garba, I mean, I don't know if you are very correct in your submission in that statement. COVID-19 began in 2019. And you look at it, what was the inflation rate in 2018? President Buhari took over in 2015. Inflation rate in 2018 was way in double digits. You met it in single digits. And you say President Buhari is not responsible. I mean, do you see that there's a possible error in your allusion?
Let me tell you this. When we came in, we inherited an economy that was recession-bound. It was headed for recession. And that was why soon thereafter, by 2016, we had recessed.
But there are those experts, Mr. Shehu, who will say that the sustenance of the economy was dependent on the reaction of the president, whom a lot of the experts have said that he was slow pace in his action, and in fact, that was the blow that the Nigerian economy was dealt with. There were no direction. There was some sort of slow action in even making appointment, almost 6 months before cabinet members were named.
You are bringing too many things into this thing. If the idea is to say that the economy, as I said, was recession-bound, the government need to pump out a lot of money. We did the ERGP to pump out money so that you do a lot of public works and a lot of spending so that economy would be regenerated. And thank to the president for those policies. This economy came out of recession within just a year. And so therefore it worked for us. When you spend a lot more money, of course the numbers would change. However, to pretend that COVID did not have implications for, no, this country was not immune to all of the problems it brought to global economies. Even China, perhaps the only nation that did not recess in their economy, the numbers had projected, had gone down substantially in their own growth. So everyone was affected, and so therefore to pin it, hang it on the neck of one man. No, President Muhammadu Buhari didn't invent coronavirus and the crisis that it generated.
Totally, we're getting out of time, but let me ask you on a final note, Mr. Shehu.
Thank you.
If there is something that the incoming government needs to be weary of, you have seen, I wouldn't be able to identify whether or not you have conquered. But then, what would you say that the incoming government should be weary of with your experience in the villa?
Well, the country's mass communication system has been a big asset from pre-independence to all of these years, through all of these years. Somebody needs to do something concerning fake news reporting and falsehood. But this should follow due process of the law. They must be wary of this. I think that people are having a free ride on individual reputations and integrity that people have built over the years, and something needs to be done to protect personal liberties and the rights of minorities in this country.
Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to President Buhari on media, thank you so much indeed, and congratulations on your exit. It's a congratulations, you say, when someone is exiting office. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Shehu. I appreciate it.